So Yanshu also suggested a video series on how Brandon and I share our finances and budgets after we got married. She says, I know some couples put everything they earn in a joint account, but some couples still have individual accounts and put a percentage of their earnings in the joint account. Any tips and advice and any apps that you use for budgeting and finances would be great.
Our principle and how we live our lives is, we're Christian, and for us it's, we're one person, right? So for us to have separate things, whether it's separate beds or separate accounts, it just seems to go against sort of the one person. Now we're one, we're forever committed to one another until death do us part, the kind of the wedding vows thing. And so that's sort of the foundational reason why we have a joint account and we manage it together. Just like decisions in life, whatever decision I make, big or small, it's going to affect Jen. Having that one account reflects sort of the direction we want to go as a married couple. And I think aside from that, the principles of budgeting and saving, what has been transformational in my life is Dave Ramsey. You never know what's going to happen. She can get pregnant, I can get laid off, and so we have to make a decision to live within just one income. And I think for us it makes sense that I would pursue this, in our context, I would pursue the career because we are looking to get pregnant, and I think for both of us, we want her to have the flexibility to spend that time with the kid in its formative years.
It's formative years.
Well, I mean, it's not a he or she yet, right? So
it could be he/she.
Okay, it's.
Oh, that was funny. Alien baby.
Yeah, the alien baby. Well, it's gonna be alien if you don't spend time with it. So, the income that she makes now separately is just a nice buffer, for investing in our future or opportunities that come up, and or for vacation expenses.
Paying for dance classes.
Yeah, or just testing the makeup stuff that you were doing for a while. In terms of how, what tools we use to keep track of our budget, mint.com is the easiest one. It's got its flaws, but it's great. I mean, especially if you're in the States, it kind of almost automatically tracks all your expenses, and you can review it periodically.
Hayley asks, I'm scared of making a bad decision in marriage because I've had some terrible relationships in the past that have left a huge impact on my life to the point where I don't want to give my trust to just anyone. And now whenever someone asks me out, I freak out and think that this is probably not going to lead to marriage, so why date? How can you be ready to give your trust to someone and be completely unselfish when it comes to decisions that involve both of you?
And balance in anything is super important. So I think in relationships, it was kind of like what I said before about the men should be the one swinging for the fences or showing their commitment and leading in that sense. For me, it seems like perhaps in this situation, maybe you feel like you've given a lot more, and the guy, the trust that you've given or the investment that you put into the relationship, it sounds to me that perhaps there's been some guys that have either taken advantage of it or overlooked it or something like that. And so I think it's caused you to close yourself off for fear of that happening again. Unfortunately, you can't get away from being vulnerable. You can't get away from risk at all, especially as it relates to any kind of relationship. What I like to think about sometimes is what was said in one of our favorite churches is trust and love is about holding a loaded gun to someone's head and trusting that person not to pull the trigger. Because marriage, she knows all my dirt, I know all of her dirt, and there's this sense of trust that I'm not going to use that in any way to harm her and vice versa. But at some level, you have to be able to open up and be vulnerable. As it relates to a lot of the advice that I've given recently, be careful about what you give to that person. Make sure that they earn that trust to be able to receive the precious things that you have to give. And when you're afraid that that person's not at the same place, know how to take a step back, assess the fears that you have, and be able to talk to that person and say, hey, listen, I'm feeling this way, and it's, in my mind, it seems like we're not on the same pace, and I just want to have the conversation, are we going in the same direction? Are we in the same place? Do you see marriage at the end of this relationship? And if that person says, I don't know, or no, I would just say, just pack up and leave, because it's just not worth it in the end.
One of my first memories of Brandon is when we were just friends and we weren't dating. I remember asking him about his perspective on relationships, and he shared with me that when he dates someone, he always thinks like, is this person like marriage potential, or is there potential of us, you know, ending up together in the long term? I haven't been as wise, you know, in my past relationships, and I can totally relate with you, Hayley, in terms of trust. I've carried a lot of baggage related to trust into our marriage, even when we were dating, engaged, and it was really tough for me because I had to keep bringing up stuff that was really painful for me to get Brandon to understand why it is that I feel this way, and for me to voice it without like projecting it on him, like making it feel like, well, this happened to me and you need to fix it, or you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's something that I really struggled with, and now I feel like I have a better understanding of it. Like, I'm able to wrap my brain around it better, where I can voice my hurts and my concerns and trust stuff without attaching it to Brandon. Letting him know like, hey, this is why I feel this way and this is what makes me feel insecure. And you know, he's always been very open about it from the very beginning. Like, whatever it is, like however I can help you or however I can make you feel safe, like I'll do that. But I know that it's huge for me to say, this is what's hurting me, please help me with it, versus accusing Brandon of something that he's not responsible for. You know, that's something that I had to make a huge distinction with. And that's something that really just grows over time. I know that sounds really cliche. Talking about it and communicating that and letting him know exactly where I stand with it, I feel like that's done big things for us, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, granted, like in our situation, there's got to be an openness to that other party's side, but I think the openness comes from being vulnerable and saying, hey, this is me, I've got issues and I care about you, hopefully you care about me, and I know that this is a problem of mine, not yours.
Right.
I just need your help.
That's my knapsack.
Yeah.
No, that's my burden, not my knapsack. If you guys have watched my morning chats on when I talked about boundaries. So in boundaries, it talks about knapsacks being your own load to carry, and then your bigger problems, which are your burdens. And the bigger burdens are what, you know, your loved ones can help you with. Your knapsacks, your own daily responsibilities, that's on you. Like, no one else is responsible for that. And so Brandon definitely helps me with this burden. Based on our faith, Brandon is not God. He is my helper. Like, God has brought him into my life to help me and not to heal me.
That's very important.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to fulfill your life perfectly.
Yeah.
Nobody.
No person.
No person. Okay, we got some issues.
And the grass is not greener on the other side. It's green where you water it.
Is that from a song?
I've heard it in other places, but it wasn't a song yesterday. But it's true. It's so easy for you to envy something else that someone else has, right? Like, whether it's a job or a relationship, like affairs and marriage. Like, you always feel like there's something more exciting happening outside of what you have. But if you invest and you nurture and you grow what you have, you can make yourself fall in love with your situation. You know what I mean? It's like
Bieber, right? Bieber?
Stop!
Way
It
to go,
wasn't
Bieber.
Bieber. It was like a rapper that collaborated with Bieber. It wasn't only from that song,
I know,
though.
but it's a great principle. I love it.
I agree, you know? It's the energy that you spend on envying someone else or chasing after an idea of something else. Invest that energy into the person that you're with.
Or that deserves it.
Yeah. Let me just end it here and then we'll do another one.